But you know they record.
Was a
Podcast.
podcast now.
Podcaster. Alright.
We'll call you guys back.
Alright.
Toodles. Quang 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 quang.
Breaking news.
Arise, O compatriot, dun dun dun. Nigeria's call obey, dun dun dun. To serve our father's land, dun dun dun. With love and strength and faith, quang quang quang. The labor. Is it the labor of one labor?
It's the labor.
Why did you say one labor? Me thinking I'm the one that's wrong.
The labor of our heroes past shall never be in vain. Leah, you're going to fall. Anyway, hi guys. Welcome back to Side A, the podcast. I'm your host.
Independence edition. Oh, qua 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 qua. Happy birthday, Nigeria. Yeah.
I'm your host, though. Oinda, aka Big O.
I am also your host, Lola, aka Fun Girl.
Happy birthday, Nigeria, man.
HBD.
A fool at 63.
A fool forever. We love you. Do we? Love you though.
Sure. Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the show. Also, just want to say thank you for all of the love on the last episode.
Filled all our hearts.
It
with
warmed
just,
my heart, man. It touched me. I was touched. Thank
and
you guys.
keep it coming.
Yeah,
I really love the response. And you can really tell that you guys watched.
Yeah,
the
you guys
episode.
really listened. You took notes. You guys came back with points. It was too good.
We love you already.
Love to see it. So thank you guys, and thank you for tuning back in. This is episode 2. We move. How was your week, Lola? Well, no, I feel you, Sha. I feel you.
Yeah, my week was interesting in the way that it was I don't know. I really had to fill it up with my own things. I have my schedule now is very loose since I graduated.
Loose.
So loose is really the word. I've been getting into a routine and having my own routine. I've never had a routine.
Leah,
I beg you.
Anyways,
I've never really had a routine that was my routine, usually, I think the last time I really had a routine was when I lived with my parents, and I was okay, you need to wake up for school. And that didn't feel like my routine. It felt like things that I was doing by obligation.
Because you built your life around being a student.
Yeah. So, I've just been really focusing on my routine, waking up early or whenever I wake up, because I'm on medication and the medication be kicking my ass. But I think I had an okay week. Mm-hmm. It was fine. It wasn't great, but it was fine. Lots of nice perspective things to come, I guess, from the week. So fingers crossed. Everybody pray for me. Thank you.
Hashtag pray for Lola.
Hashtag pray for Lolo. How's your week?
My week was. Thank you for asking. Mm-hmm. My week was shit, as you saw.
Yeah.
I was a little espresso depresso, but
hey,
it be like that sometimes. We move regardless. I think I'm just going through a lot of it's a lot of push and pull that I'm feeling emotionally, mentally, physically. Just a lot of changes, growing pains. Mm-hmm. So
growing pains is real.
Yeah, but I'm getting through it.
I like this bracelet. What do you guys?
I'm actually not sure.
Wow.
Maybe.
Maybe Miami.
No. I ordered it.
Oh, okay, fair.
It was one of the few things that I ordered from Miami that actually came.
Yeah.
So maybe it was.
Okay. On that's literally every time Window goes on a trip. So I obviously we all know I'm a stylist. We doing my little one too. So I put together like a package for her, like usually for her trips, or like if she has any like, things coming up. Tell me why like her things never arrive.
Everything
ever.
like literally got returned to sender, and it's like on one hand I'm like, okay, we just moved to a new apartment, but I'm like, I've gotten packages here already. It hasn't been that like,
yeah, and they canceled it. It's not even like, oh, it came late. They canceled it, and they were like
some of them were canceled. Some of them said like, oh, address not found or addressee not found, return to sender. They even called me. I called USPS. They were like, oh yeah, we don't notify you like unless you check or you track the package.
That's
we don't
so
notify
silly
you and blah,
on
blah,
you
blah.
guys'
I'm like,
parts. Like, why
well,
would you
fuck
see
y'all.
something wrong and then not call the person
And
who
for
ordered
next
it?
week, I'm on that ass for my freaking refunds now that everything has gone back to sender. So
Yeah.
I will be tracking my money. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyway, what's on side A for you this week?
I've been thinking a lot. Like a lot of things are actually on side A for me this week. But I'm gonna
Such as
I'm gonna zone in on one. One is Tizo touchdown. Yes, again. It was on side A for me like weeks ago when we had it for an episode that didn't come out. But yeah, Tizo Touchdown's album How Do You Sleep at Night is immaculate and incredible and new and fresh, and
you love that word fresh.
yeah, because it's really fresh. Like it's like, I don't know, it's just so like never, I don't want to say never done before, but never done in the way that it's done.
Yeah.
So absolutely love him, love like just what he stands for. I found out that he's 34.
He is?
Yeah, I found out he's 34.
I thought like it was videos of him and I would have sworn he was like 21.
I thought he was 23, 24. He's 34 years old, and
oh wow,
yeah, and it was Cam that was actually telling me about it, but it's so interesting to see him just like really go after his dreams, and like he talks about it in the album as well, of feeling too old that he like to achieve the things that you want to achieve, but like 34 is really not that old, really.
Yeah,
but it's like the industry will really have you thinking like
for sure
you're past your prime, or
he's
you're past
30. He's 30.
Yeah. Oh, he's 30?
He's 30.
Okay,
yeah.
Fair. But yeah, I just found out that he's like older than you would think he is. So like I feel like I'm really rooting for him in the way that he's going after his things. I hope he goes on tour soon. Also, and please, Doja Cat, please don't come for me, but Doja Cat's album is so good, and if you haven't listened to it, you should definitely go listen to it because it's so amazing. And I won't say too much on it just because I don't want to get targeted. I know how you guys like to fight, but her album is so good. And honestly, now I understand what she meant by like when she was making that very blasphemous tweets that everybody was so angry about, when she was like, no more pop. But she just wanted you guys to understand that she's a rapper first. Like she's really, really like spitting on the album currently. So I think it's really, and she has very like boom bap beats and like super hip hop at 50 stuff. I feel like so yeah, I think those two have just been like they've been on my rotation, So yeah, that's what
cool.
was on side 8 for me this week.
I just thought about what you said about like, obviously not to like go on a tangent because we're still talking about our side A's, but like this whole thing of like starting later, right? And I think with like social media also, people are almost like, it's like if you haven't blown at 21 or if you haven't blown at 25 or whatever, it's like the age where you feel like the pressure to like, like pop is like so much younger and younger and younger, to the point that when it wasn't a fly on a bus that was like, oh, like in college when we were listening to Ray Shremmer, then people are like, what?
And then everybody started saying they were 31 in the comments.
These girls are probably like maybe around my age, so maybe they're like 26,
27,
25, 27, like, and I'm like, so this is like old. And then people are like literally like coming for them, and I'm like, is it bad to like have like, oh, like you guys are too old to be like, I'm like, is it? So like at 25, 26, what should you start doing? You start wearing boo-boo.
No, literally, like
no shade to
well,
boo-boo
like,
warriors,
no shade. No, currently
I'm a boo-boo girl too. I'm a boo-boo girl too. That's but not the point.
It's just like because the darker skin one for Lion, I think I think that's how to pronounce her name. I'm not sure.
She's Nigerian.
Yeah, she is
I
Nigerian. she wears a lot of
Up
like
Ninja.
elf. Yeah, she wears a lot of like elf ears and
yeah.
stuff. Like things are just like cute and whimsical and like it fits her. But someone was like, "Oh, isn't she too old to
and
be
I'm like,
wearing
what
this
is
and
she,
that?"
50? Like, I don't I don't get
know,
it, bro.
Even if you're 50 and like you're wearing
Literally,
like let people
express themselves the way that they want to, and then
reach.
I just anyway. Fine. This isn't my side A, but if you haven't listened to Lady Donnelly's album yet, Pan African Rockstar, you should absolutely go listen to it. I feel like Lady Donnelly is such a consistent artist. And like
clear sound.
Yeah, a very clear, very defined sound. She knows who she is as an artist, and I think that's very refreshing to look at.
Yeah.
I also think like there's like, I don't know, the album really felt like kind of like, it felt very like self-affirmation because it's a lot of like, okay, like I'm struggling and this shit is really hard, and like I'm an artist that's like really sensitive about my shit, but also like I know myself and I believe in this shit, and like I know like I have the best to offer the world. It's just like, hey, look at me type shit. And I'm like, I feel you, bitch. Like, I see you.
That. Yeah.
And she has this lyric that's like, oh, I'm a bad girl with like 8 tattoos, dreadlocks too. I said, me.
Period.
I said, her. Do it for the girls, do it for the girls. So if you haven't listened to Pan African Rockstar, you should absolutely go listen to that.
Yeah.
But what's on side A for me, in terms of something that I've been thinking about like the whole week, I guess it was, okay, I would say it's Sex Education. I just feel like that is a perfect show. Like, there hasn't been, throughout the 4 seasons, I didn't think, you know that little meme that they have of like the horse? So it's like, oh, what show was this? Or whatever. I never felt like there was a season where I'm like...
Sorry for burping, guys. You probably got
disgusting. I never felt like there was a season that wasn't like just perfectly done, mindfully done. And like it like got into like this conversation of like just like queer representation on like television and film. And this one person, I believe they were talking about bottoms on TikTok or on a podcast that they posted on TikTok, and they were talking about like people that talk about like the right kind of queer representation versus the wrong kind. And like they were using bottoms as an example where it's like we can't say what is the right kind of representation, because what represents me as a queer person may not represent you as a queer person, may not represent the next person as a queer person. And like I think like, and it got into like this thing of like gay wrongs, and it's like important to show gay wrongs and like show like queer people just being like questionable or being assholes or not knowing the right thing to do or say, or not being politically correct, or being mean, or like whatever the case might be, because it's like there's such an array. And I feel like,
and gay people are mean.
Yeah, and I feel like there's this like respectability thing. Like I think they did it to black people too, where it's like, oh, like the right kind of representation for black women versus the wrong kind. And it's like, who's to say? They were talking about that with like Sexy Red, and I'm like, so do girls like Sexy Red not deserve to like see themselves
like outside? You know something? I feel like a big part of like policing representation that like gets me is that people, the whole point of representation is that there are different forms of people and there are different ways that people show up. So people want to see, you know,
all
different
of those ways.
Types. So it's not that we're making, there's this one archetype and we're going to use that type of person and we're going to push them forward. Isn't that what kind of created the problem to begin with, where it's that, you know, I guess like white people were like, okay, this is what we want to show, and this is the kind of black person we want to show, or this is the type of gay person we want to show. And I actually wrote my thesis on especially bisexual characters, like of it being that there was a certain type of bisexual or pansexual archetype that was really being like, you know, shown, which is that it would be this like, confused
selfish,
person, indecisive,
flaky.
You know, flaky, which is like, okay, but like there's other bisexual like representation out there.
Bisexuals
Aren't
can't
those
be
things
selfish and flaky and
but
indecisive.
that's not where it
but
ends,
it's just
though,
like,
you know,
there's like, but then we get to the other end of the spectrum where it's like an overcorrection of stereotypes where it's like now we don't want to see black women being loud or ratchet or just having fun with their friends and being belligerent because it's like, oh, it's not the right type. It's like a caricature. And
it's not like, what you want to show.
But there are black women outside shaking ass, being ratchet, being belligerent, and that is great. And we should celebrate all of these different like forms of whatever. You're calling somebody's actual like personality, you're calling that like somebody like said it was akin to like minstrelsy, and I'm like, excuse
minstrelsy. Me? Okay, can I also say a lot of you are not that smart and you just know words and you want to spit out and you just want to say the words. It's still not clicking as intelligence. It's not clicking as you know what you're talking about. You just sound tone deaf and ignorant and like uncouth.
Yeah, I don't know, like, but yeah, so like I feel like sex education is like it's so intentionally written, and there's so many different just types of people and types of queer people that are like shown on that show, and queer people who are like loud and out there, and queer people who are unsure of themselves, and like queer people who don't like other queer people, and queer people who are whatever, like whatever the case is. I just feel like it's written so intentionally, and like it's just so mindful, and like I feel like it's ending at like the perfect time.
Yeah, they knew when to end it. Yeah,
and like it's just really inspiring. And like I can imagine, I was having this conversation with Carmen where I was like, at what age do you think it's appropriate if you had like a kid, like for them to like watch that? Because on one end it's like a show about teenagers, but it's written by adults and played by adults, and there's a lot of like very adult material that maybe could be much for a teenager, but there's also a lot of like learning opportunities within the show that I'm like, okay, if you wanted to show your kids something where
I
you're
would
like,
have my 13-year-old watch that, because let's think about it, 13-year-olds already watch a bunch of things they're not supposed to. I feel like the thing about parental advisory that people don't understand is that you're supposed to be, you know, it's not this whole restriction thing. You're supposed to see where your kid is at, right? And react accordingly, you know.
Oh, you are so smart.
Thanks. I don't even want kids though, but hey, I feel like that's why I'm able to have all this like perspective on it. But I feel like you're supposed to react to wherever your kid is at, where it's like, okay, I feel like my kid would be able to watch this thing. At 13, I had watched a bunch of things that I probably shouldn't have watched already, but like I kind of knew in what ways to engage with it, because our parents never really put like imposed like TV restrictions on us. Like we had so many DVDs and like just a lot of things on there, whereas that, you know, like if they really thought like, okay, this would be a terrible, you know, influence on our kid, they would have taken it away. But like they just kind of like let us, you know.
I think they trusted our judgment a lot in terms of like things that we consume.
I feel like if you trust your kid enough, I think a 13-year-old should definitely watch that show, because like maybe 13, 14, 15, there is a lot of media out there already that I feel like they would have consumed that is more vulgar or
and without the intention that it
without
takes
the intention and it's like, why not even have them like watch this thing and also like learn from it, because there are so many like worth learning things.
There's so many, even at my age I'm like
work,
this is like a good lesson, or like I can imagine what like myself at 16 would have thought about this, like navigating like that time in my life or whatever. I'm still not sure what my answer is, but like I know like one of my mutuals today had tweeted that she has a kid already, and she was like, she can't wait to like watch it with her kid maybe when he's in like the 10th grade or something like that, which I'm guessing
10th grade
is
not
15.
bad.
And I think, I don't know, obviously like every parent has the right to like decide, you know, what they want their kids to consume or whatever the case might be, but I just think it's a really important show, and I think I feel like it's a show that transcends like time. You know what I mean?
I think if I had a kid, I would really want them to feel prepared for puberty and for the changes that are gonna come in their life. Because if there's something that I really feel like I needed, was that preparation of like, okay, yeah, this thing that I'm feeling is completely normal. Like I always felt like kind of like othered, or like kind of like, oh, nobody would understand, like, and the things that I'm like, oh, nobody would understand are so commonly
so universal,
dealt
so
with
universal.
And it's like, if I had just had like, maybe if like the TV shows I was watching at the time like even talked about those things, like TV used to like, they used to dig into things, but not things that were like, oh, someone's white parent would like complain, you know. So it's like I learned how to like be really kind from TV. I learned how to share. I learned how to, you know, engage with other cultures. I learned not to be a bigot. I learned, even though it wasn't necessarily selling anti-bigotry, but I learned how to not be a bigot from television. And I feel like if we open that conversation up to like puberty and kind of teenagers growing into their bodies and like queer knowledge and just like, oh, like identity knowledge, just not even call it queer knowledge,
right,
like
whatever that identity knowledge is,
and just kind of like have that be, you know, openly discussed and openly like ready for your children to have questions for you and things like that. I think it's a good step,
especially because we're finding more language. Like language is like developing every day. We're finding more ways to describe things, so then we have to figure out intentional ways to like inject all of this terminology and new ways of describing things into stuff that we can like have as like, this is tangible and this is something that like is almost like a time capsule of like, around this time this was like a big conversation and this is why it's important to delve into. It's all kind of like history, if that makes sense.
So
for
like, sure.
That's why it just I think it just really like, it made me happy, I guess. It was refreshing. I think it was like a weird week, but it was like something positive to think about. So
also, even just like to circle back, like I feel like when I was growing up, I had to parent my cousins simultaneously as I was parenting myself, because my little cousins would always like be over. Like I would say it's more than Oinda.
Because I had left.
Yeah, Oinda had left. So it's like, even though I was 15, it was my responsibility to take care of like 3, 4, 5 of my younger my younger cousins. I was about to say siblings, but I am the last. I mean,
born. Might as well be.
Yeah, they might as well be my siblings. Like when I say they were at my house, like they might as well have been at my house every single 2 weeks, like 3 weeks. They would spend the entire summer with me. Yeah. So it's like I felt a lot of like responsibility when it came to like, you know, making sure they were like, you know, I don't want to say well read, but like fine, you know, like
equipped with whatever it is that you felt like you had that you could share.
Which is, and that gets complicated because it's like I'm learning at the same time, and I'm like 15, and my little cousin Lola, who has like the same name as me, is literally like, what, she was probably 12. She's 4 years younger than me. 11, 12. So it's like I'm literally having them watch what I'm watching, or watching what I'm watching on television, like, because it's not every time I want to watch CBBS or Disney Junior. So you're watching the things that I watch, and like now, like you literally can see like she has grown. She literally took all the things that she was doing with me and like has grown her own like type of way that she interacts with things, and she's like so smart and like just really bright. Even my cousin Theodora as well, and like it's even me and Theodora really just realized how close we are in age, like now, because like when we were kids, I was her mom. Like that was my kid, even though we are a year apart from each other. And it's just like interesting to see how she got to engage with things that I was engaging with, and like teach herself while still asking me questions, and like, you know, just get to like grow in a way that like adults don't allow you to.
That is such a good point, because like maybe last week or 2 weeks ago, like there was like this big conversation like amongst teachers where they were just talking about like the fact that kids in grade school are just genuinely behind, and like you have kids in like the 7th grade like doing math or reading at a 4th grade level. And one educator made the point to say like they feel like
you look really pretty.
People, oh thank you babes, that they feel like people are just like not talking to their kids at home. And like so many parents were fighting back about like the fact that like their kids' education is not their responsibility. And I just don't know how you can think that, because like, yes, you send them off to school, but like a lot of what they're taking to the school in the first place is coming from you. It's coming from the way that you communicate with them. People don't even think about the way that they talk to their kids as like education. But it's like even just you having conversations with your kid at whatever level it is that they understand. This person was like, people are really not talking to their kids at home. They're not having conversations like about anything where like their kids are just like, okay, me and my mom were talking. And it's like little things like that. It creates barriers because they come into school. They don't know how to communicate with their peers. They don't know how to communicate with their teachers. They don't know how to express their feelings. And in turn, it puts puts restrictions on the way that they're able to learn. And I'm just like, people need to give kids more credit and more autonomy in terms of that.
I hate one thing I really hate, and like I think when I was younger, I mistook it as not liking children in general. But I think now I'm able to recognize I just don't like the way that adults treat kids. Stop treating kids like they're stupid. Like, stop treating kids like, oh, they're not supposed to know things. They're not supposed to be exposed to things. Yes, again, react to wherever they're at in life, and like you will know
and their level of communication and understanding.
But it's a lot of like talking down. Like, and it's not intentional all the time. Sometimes it's just like cooing at and like, oh. But it's like, there's a way to do that while also like just like
acknowledging that that's a person.
Yeah, someone who I think has done such a great job of that, and I don't know if you've seen, but I've like followed Jada Wada for like since she was like 16, and the way she has raised her child, and like Loyal is so articulate and like they have conversation. You can tell they're like friends, like the way their mother-son relationship is like they're friends, because it's giving. She talks to him, she engages with her kid like her kid is like her pal. And I feel like it's important to carry that while also carrying the parent's role. So it's like, okay, I am teaching them the things that they need to learn, and like how to talk and how to, you know, be conversational and not like necessarily be so like scared. You know? And
also teaching like
asking. I don't get the thing of parents saying that it's not their jobs to educate their kids, because the first thing they teach you in school is that your first educational institute is your family,
is the home that you're coming from. So like, that's crazy. When parents were really like, excuse me, like, it's if our kids are not blah blah blah, it's your fault, it's your fault, it's your fault. You're pointing fingers. And like, yes, a lot of it has to do with our educational institutions and like, you know, teachers not being like as equipped to like really educate these kids. The pandemic, social media, blase, whatever. There's a lot of different factors, but like the first educational opportunities that your child is going to have is with you at the house. So it's like, you can never say like, oh, like their education is not on you. They leave school, they come home, their education continues, because kids are always learning. Even as adults, we are always learning. So at that point, what do you think? Like, and I also think there's a lot of autonomy that's stripped away. People are not even asking their kids questions, asking them what they're interested in, asking them what they want to learn. If you're saying like, oh, do you like this? How do you feel about this? Oh, do you want to wear this? Oh, do you like this show? Do you want to see this instead? It creates like a cycle of them knowing that like their voice will be heard. If they want to express something, they can do that. It will be considered. Even if mommy is like, okay, well, I don't think we want to do that. Maybe we should try this instead. What do you think about that? It's like, okay. And then you go to school and then you feel like you can advocate for yourself. You feel like you can speak to your peers. You feel like you can say no when you don't want to do something. I just don't like, people need to treat kids as people.
Side B, y'all.
Let's get the jar.
That was a loaded side A.
I know, today, guys.
But that's okay.
My gosh.
Hey, like,
anyway, listen, like man. I just we're just very passionate, man. We're just very passionate. If any of that resonated with you, please comment below. If you have kids, actually comment below. Because I'm interested in like what parents actually think about that. Our demographic probably doesn't have kids.
Yeah.
We don't even have a demographic yet.
Also, let us know what was on. Like, I want to start saying this before we
At the
start on side
beginning.
A, or before we start side B. Let us know what's on side A for you this week. You know, so it like if we're starting this culture of interacting with each other,
Yeah.
actually, let's.
This is a good
Why
one.
are you smiling so hard?
Because it's a good one.
What does it say? Is that who's handwriting?
I'm actually not sure.
Let me see. I think. I don't know.
I think it's Cam's.
It might. You know something? I've barely seen Camille's
I think
handwriting,
it's Cam's.
but it might be Cam.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Camille.
It says
Voila Beyonce. She's gonna be so mad I called her that. I'm like,
it says the ups and downs of having an only sister. But I guess like just like
Yeah.
only having a
yeah,
sister.
Yeah.
The ups and downs.
Downs.
You go first.
Not so many downs, you know.
Yeah.
Sisterhood is great. Hey, I have been so blessed to have an older sister. I feel like I would have struggled if I was the first one. I do not have what this one has over here. But I would say, so many ups. Like, you just kind of are born. I'm gonna speak from a second born perspective for sure. You're born and you kind of have like a friend from jump, like, and we weren't always friends, but like when we got along. Yeah, like we were always like fine with getting along.
Yeah.
Like, I think she just was a teenager for a while and I was her little sister, so it was like she didn't want to really hang out with me. And I didn't understand that when I was younger. I thought she hated me. I was like, why don't you want to hang out with me? Like, I'm so much fun and like just a blast. But you know, she wants to hang out with her friends, and we're 5 years apart for reference. So when our age gap feels big, it feels big.
Yeah.
Like, it really does feel like a stretch.
Yeah,
so,
and during the teenage years,
Yeah.
I feel like that was the biggest gap. I don't think
yeah.
that the gap is ever going to feel
Feel
that
as
big
big,
again.
yeah.
But it's like me being 13 and you being,
Eight.
8? It's like...
or her
That's
being
vastly
or her
different.
being 16 and me being like 11.
11, you know?
It's like I don't necessarily want to have like my 11-year-old
Yeah.
sister like really be on me, and I feel like maybe that was a down for me.
Yeah.
I would say that was a down for me, where it's just like, oh, I didn't really feel, I don't know, when I was younger I just really always felt misunderstood. Like, I probably till I was 19, like even till now, kind of, but like not as much.
Nobody gets me.
It's like I'm not a nobody gets me kind of girl anymore.
Mama said
but I
nobody
used
gets
to.
me.
Like, I literally thought I was just really angsty and like emo and like, ugh.
You were
at the
so
world.
angsty. And like, obviously
Yeah.
teenagers are angsty. But
Yeah.
this girl, you
But
were
I've been
you were an
angsty
angsty
since I was,
teenager
like,
from
10.
like 6.
I don't even like 10. It's actually 6.
It's actually 6
it's
years
actually
old.
6.
Girl.
So I just like, I feel like I needed her to really be there. And then she went to college and I was like, and that was like in the thick of my puberty, which was interesting. But like ups, I don't even know where to begin on an up. Like, there are too many ups. They're like literally a role model, like a best friend, like just someone who will kind of always understand. And my therapist let me know super recently that is not always like a given, and that I'm super lucky just to kind of like have that. Because like when I was talking to her about it, I was like, which is like, you know, the standard.
Yeah.
And she was like, no, it is not the standard.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I know that's
You
one
know?
thing I feel really grateful about, because I've spoken to people who have sisters.
yeah.
Or they have the one sister, or maybe they have two, and they're like, I think I was doing a podcast with somebody at some point,
Yeah.
and I was talking about you a lot, as I do, child.
Yeah.
I saw this one TikTok. Did
I saw
send
it.
to
You sent it to me. Oh my god.
But
Literally.
it's like any small thing, my sister. But I was talking to her, and then she like also brought up her, because she was like, oh, like, you know, it's really nice that you have that kind of relationship with your sister. Like, I don't even know who she is, but I kind of feel like I know who she is.
Yeah.
Based on like the way that you've spoken about her. And she was like I have a sister too, and like we're even closer in age, but like we're not close.
Yeah.
And like it's just something that I just can't like wrap my mind around because it's like I like part of my identity is being like a sister.
Yeah,
If that
very
makes
much
sense.
so.
Like that's like part of who I am. It's something that I take into like all my other relationships, whether it's romantic relationships, whether it's friendships. It's why like my friendships are so strong because I show up as a sister. I think of my friendships as sisterhood. You know what I mean? So it kind of bleeds into the way that and I'm also like the older sister.
Yeah.
So it's like that level of like big sisterness is something that I carry into literally everything. It's something that I have, like even when like your friends come around, it's like, okay, like I want to provide that
She
kind of
so
safe
takes care.
space.
Like my friends, I feel like my friends love Oinda more than they love me sometimes because like
Dragging
it's not even like even like Ebebe had met you one time and like just absolutely like loved you and gravitated towards you and was just like had so many questions about you after, where it was just like, you know, like what's she into, like you know, like just like even small questions I can't even think of right now, just like little things to know, like but I really appreciate that because again, not everybody's like sibling provides that kind of like space. And I always say, like, I don't think I would have ever wanted a brother. I feel like if I wanted a brother, he would have had to be older than her.
I've never felt that way.
Like I would have never.
Sometimes I'm like, oh, I kind of wish I had like an older sister.
Sibling. Yeah.
But I don't think I love girlhood and I love like
it's so much fun.
I love like the energy of women around me. There's something about that just really feeds. Yeah. It feeds my spirit. It makes me feel whole. You know what I mean? And I don't feel that way towards relationships with men. Yeah. I don't even want to say it's unfortunate. That's just me. I know people find that fulfillment in their relationships with men, and I think that that's great too, but I've just never really had that. I also think we come from a very matriarchal family, regardless of how they would like to spin it as like the men are the head of the house. I'm like, they aren't really. They're very much outnumbered around here, and like the majority of what we saw was like women, sisterhood, women, just mommy's sisters. My mom
has like 8-9 sisters.
Yeah, and just like all of that. So it's like something that like was just very intrinsic. Yeah. But I think like the biggest up with like just having the one sister, because I think this comes up in like, I notice in like situations where it's like a bunch of sisters, maybe it's like 4 or 5 of y'all. Like there's like it gets cliquey, you know what I mean? But like just having the one, it's like immediately like I never feel like I'm doing any stage of my life alone. Because like even if like something is only like a thought in my mind, I've already voiced it. Yeah. Even if it's just like, even if it's something that I will never do or something that I never act upon, I always have like something to like voice it to somebody that's there that I can just be like, oh, I was thinking about whatever. Yeah. That goes a long way into because a lot of the times, like a lot of feelings that I have are like very isolating in the sense that like I don't know that, you know, all of like my friends can like really like relate to things. Like they'll listen to me but, and they'll affirm me. But like I feel like we're very different, but like we're also very similar in the ways that like really, really count at the end of the day. So it's like having that level of like just intrinsic understanding is just like I don't have to explain myself because like once I say something, it's like, okay, I see where you're coming from. Or you can even be like, okay, do you think that might be because you whatever. Now somebody really has to like get you and like understand you like to your core. Yeah. And I think if it wasn't just the two of us, maybe it wouldn't be that way because it's like there's options of like, you could go here, you could go there.
There are different like ways that the relationship could have like panned out. So like I feel like a lot of the time I'm just really happy it's just the two of us. I'm happy our family is as small as it is. Truly. Like it really gave us the chance. Like our parents are very big on family, like both coming from big families and like having their own ideology on family. So it was very important to them like that all of us, like all 4 of us are close and like and you know, parents are parents. So eventually, you know, the siblings are gonna be the siblings are gonna be the ones that are actually like tight to
Yeah.
the bone, like for real. Like
Yeah.
there are things that I don't even need to like. There was a time that I was trying to like, I think I was trying to like start like my portfolio, and I was trying to explain my, like I was just trying to explain myself, and Oinda had like given like talked about what I do and like where I want to be, and all like kind of like encapsulated all encapsulated all my goals in such a simple way that I have never even said it my own self. Like I have never
And God knows
voiced
what
it
I even
out.
said, because I don't
Bro,
even know what the hell I
yeah,
say.
I hadn't voiced it out. I don't really like talk about it. Like a lot of things that I think about stay within me. And she had just like said it, like literally, like as if it was known, as if I had said it to her before. And I was like, wow, you really know me. That's crazy. Like, you're really my sister and have known me since I was
We
born.
have these moments all the
Yeah.
time, and we've been sisters for what, 27 years at this point.
Bro, not 27,
No,
22.
no, 22, 22, 22.
I had to take some time to get here. Sorry.
But I feel like we were already sisters. I feel like
Yeah.
I came into this world, and like my little 5 years ahead of time was just like prepping to like be your sister. You know what I mean?
You guys, I'm not going to cry. I'm actually mentally having like a like prep notes not to cry during this episode because of this topic. But just like it just means a lot to me. Sisterhood means a lot to me because I feel like it's an irreplaceable
isn't it just so?
experience.
Isn't it just so apt that this topic came up right after I got this
Oh my
tattoo?
god, Oinda's tattoo is so cool. Look,
I
I
just got a
cried
tattoo
yesterday.
yesterday.
Literally, I cried. I bawled. I'm not over it. I can't get over it.
I got a tattoo yesterday right here. It's both of our birth years. It's cute. She cried.
I'm not gonna cry again. I'm not gonna cry again. It's just like it just like means so much to me because it's like and it means so much to me because it means so much to her. And it's like not in a way, and she didn't do it because it meant so much to me. She did it because it meant so much to her. And like our connection is just so
Ew.
like unconditional and like real, and like we've really like seen each other through like some really like tough times, hard times. Like we both would be in our apartments depressed as hell, like just knowing what the other person is going through, and like but not necessarily like physically being together,
Yeah.
but being together. It's really interesting in a way. Like
Not me tearing up.
no, for real, because it's just like it's unlike anything I've ever felt.
It's
Like
so gay, bro.
no, for real. Oh no,
The
I'm not gonna. The fact that I'm not the one to cry right now.
Ew.
Cancers don't cry as easily
No, I
as
cry a
y'all
lot.
think.
This is probably my second cry of the day.
Yeah.
I cry so much.
Oh my god, you know that was one thing. Like when we were growing up, like I never thought you did.
I
Like
never used to
literally,
cry, but I
she
didn't,
never
though.
used. You know, she literally
didn't.
never used to cry until it was like I think I wouldn't say it's pretty recent, but
It's
like
pretty recent. It's like
like,
my 20s.
yeah.
Where I just was like,
Like Oina, when we were growing up, used to give me like she just was
I
this
was
very hard
I was hard.
like
I was
person,
hard. I was
super
hard.
confident. Like I used to be so jealous of her. She used to be just really super confident, like super like real. And like that's so nice to see someone be so real when you're like a kid, like growing up. Like I was like, I want to be like that. Like and that's super interesting to see because like everyone kept on comparing me to her, but like not comparison in the way that you know, you and Oinda are so similar in this way. It was more so you should be more like Oinda.
yeah. And I wish they didn't
Yeah,
do that.
it created such a weird
I wish
like
they didn't
feeling
do that.
within me.
I hope I never ever like make my kids. I don't ever want to like. I think about that and I'm like I hate that I was used as a tool to make you feel like who you were wasn't like enough or like good enough or like that you couldn't just like be who you were, you know what I mean? Because like I was me and you were you, and like regardless of like all the bullshit of how like I might have thought you were annoying, I thought you were like cool, you know what I mean? We were just at very different points in our lives.
Yeah, I was also like
Because when we were home, like we would always like
be
everything
together.
we consumed together. All the movies we watched, the music we listened
like
to.
even currently we have the same movies.
Yeah, so it was like
most of the songs we like are the same.
It was just that like socially, like I was like going my own way, and I was older. You know, I was doing different things. I was going to places unsupervised and blah 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 whatever. So like I think once that gap closed, and that gap closed once you like moved here and like you were with me, and then you were like, you know, young adulthood, and like
the gap,
whatever divide there was,
it closes up really quick.
It's still there because again, there's a 5-year gap. Like I'm going through things in like her future essentially. Yeah.
Like there's a lot of things that I'm going through right now.
Parallels.
She just kind of sees it and she's like, wow, I once was there.
Yeah, I was there. You know? Like I know exactly how you feel.
There.
Yeah.
But like to having an only sister, it's just very intimate. You know? Yeah, it's very intimate,
and like, I prefer that.
Yeah, I prefer that. I
don't know the alternative. Yeah, but based on seeing other people's,
and like thankfully, I got the space to have other siblings through my younger cousins. Yeah, so it's like I do know what that is like to have my younger cousins, but like my relationship with anyone will never be as sacred or as tight knit as the both of us. Like especially after we started living together. Yeah, like. At some point, we were super codependent.
Codependent as fuck.
Codependent
as fuck. I think we just kind of found like independence from each other maybe in the last like 2 years.
2 years, yeah.
But like, we were like very, very codependent. Yeah,
especially like during COVID, we literally huddled like, around each other and like...
Bruh,
we didn't do anything apart.
We didn't do anything apart at all.
I remember when I had to go to Lagos for like a couple months. I would just
cry. I would go home. Like, I would walk into the house after work, and I'm just like,
who to talk to?
There's nobody here. Like,
where to go?
What do I do? But now I have a cat, so
Leah,
you can go.
Moving on. Anyway, she doesn't mean that.
Sure.
She doesn't mean that.
Oh, let's do like a little ASMR thing. Okay. I don't think we can do the scratching though.
I think we can. Do you think? Okay. So while we have you guys here, I want you to either go right here and follow us on our social media, or click the links in our description box. It's Side A Pod on everything. Side A Pod. Actually, it's Side A Pod on Instagram and on TikTok. But on Twitter or X or whatever the fuck they call it, it's Side A Podcast. That's Side A Podcast. Side A. Also, Side A. If you're watching this on YouTube, you should absolutely subscribe. If you're seeing this on any social media platforms, follow us, like the video, and share it with somebody. That is all. Like. It's such a silly word.
That probably sounds fucking terrible, let me tell you.
But what else was I saying? I lost my train of thought. Silly goofy things.
Goofy moods. Yeah, I feel like to wrap it together, I would not trade it for the world.
It's so great. Like honestly,
there are not many downs.
Yeah, there are not many downs. I would say, what's a down? Actually, let me think of a down.
I have one down.
What's a down?
And I don't know that it's a down, but it's just like I just feel like my emotions are not independent of you. Like if you have a shit day, or if I see you cry, my day is finished. And like
same.
I wish, like to some extent it's like, oh of course, duh, because like that is like my kid. So yeah, but to some extent I'm like, I wish that I would be able to just go on. You know what I mean?
I feel like mine is the opposite in the way that I wish I could Especially because I'm
Because
younger.
I can't
I wish I
take
could solve
right. That's the
all
problem, though.
your
It's like
problems.
immediately I'm like, ugh, like I don't know how to take this away. I don't know how to take this away. So I just get in the cycle of feeling like, ugh, I'm just
I'm
here.
not,
I
yeah.
can't take away like your problems. I can't solve them. I can't hold them. Like I can carry them with you, but at the same time I kind of can't because
Yeah, because you're going through your own
I'd have
stuff,
my
you
own
know?
stuff or whatever. Like, but it just is like a surefire way to like that day is kind of like
Over.
done for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I wish that I could be like, oh, I feel this,
And y'all,
but I
I'm
can
down a
still just
lot,
go.
so
I can still just go and like show up to the other things that I have to show up to and like be happy and present or to be doing whatever. And like when I come
yeah.
back, I'm like, okay, how do we fix this or
Yeah.
whatever? But like my day will like be utterly like I'm
Like
pooped
I'll
for the
have it
day.
at the back of like I'll just constantly have it in the back of my mind.
Yeah, it's like the
And it's
highest
like,
level of empathy, or
yeah,
because it's just
because it's like that's my other
now
half.
I feel like I
actually.
feel whatever you feel. I carry
Yeah.
whatever you carry. That's why
Yeah.
like when I was even in LA, like I was calling you so often because I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, ugh. No, it wasn't
Oh
LA, it was
my,
Miami. It was Miami.
Yeah.
Where I was just like calling because I'm just like, ugh, my poor baby. I know she is not feeling good right now. But you know,
Amen.
such is being a sister.
Such is life.
Sister. Sister.
I don't actually know the rest of that song.
Me neither.
Is that all they say throughout the thing? I think so. I don't know.
Oh, can I show you this song that I've been obsessed with?
Okay.
Let's just. Are we done talking about like our feelings? Did you still have feelings
You
to talk
also
about?
let's also see how Oinda goes from crying to I'm over it now, so let's move on. She doesn't let me hug. All with all the things we've talked about. Actually, the down of having an only sister is that your only sister might just be, a little unaffectionate. Just a little.
I'm not unaffectionate.
She's not unaffectionate
Ow.
to other people,
Ow.
but she's unaffectionate to me. I'm a hugger.
That is not true.
No, in recent times you've been trying.
But
Wait, let
okay.
me finish. See how she's trying to like quickly. I found out last year when Oinda was graduating that she would give her, classmates and colleagues hugs. I nearly threw up because Oinda doesn't hug me for longer than 3 seconds.
That is not true.
That is not. It is so true. At some point, she wouldn't even hug me. She used to give me like when you don't really know somebody, so you give them like a side pat or like a side hug in a way. And I immerse myself in a hug. I I'm a Cancer, so I will literally. I don't care if I just met you. I will
hugged you yesterday
in a hug. I hugged you.
Okay.
I hugged you. You did not hug me. I hugged you. And I always found that so.
I show my
somehow
affection in different ways.
She shows her affection in different ways for me. But then to find out that you're hugging everybody else and their mom. Wow.
Like, I don't hug like my friends either. Wow. And those are the people I love the most.
But your friends are not affectionate. Is it Federa you're going to hug?
Ifedara is an older sister just like me. But the thing with Ifedara is she's repulsed by her. She's repulsed by affection.
But you know something that's so real about Federa? She hugs me all the time because she knows that I love a hug. So she like will give me like a nice hug.
I'll try and hug Ifedara and she'll be like,
No, like she gives me like I remember she actually made note of it one day and she like started like giving me like wholehearted hugs. Yeah.
She's not. Actually, none of my friends do. The friends who I think the only friend that I have that's like physically affectionate is probably Carmen.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah,
but
Nigerian women.
To be fair, her friends are a lot of like Aries placements.
What Aries placements friends do I have?
A Capricorn.
My friends are Sagittarius.
A lot of your friends are Aries. Damiloju,
Dami.
There's probably a lot more still in there somehow. Isn't Yolanda an Aries?
Yolanda is not an Aries.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Like physical affection is not like a big thing in my friendships.
And that's so different to my friendships where like my friends and I will kiss each other. We will, if we could kiss each other all the time, we would kiss each other because it's like we love each other so
My
much.
friends are absolutely not kissing me.
Oh my god, like my friends and I, we literally like our hugs are always like really long and like at least 10 seconds. Like we're not really counting, but like really long, super like I'm feeling your heartbeat on my
Yeah.
heartbeat. Like those are
I
my
think
friends.
my friends are also millennials, so
I love you.
I don't
I
think
don't think that has anything to do
I think it has a
with
lot to do with this actually, because I think like just mindfulness in terms of like sharing space in friendships and like friendship love languages. I think Gen Zers are more mindful of these things. We are now trying to have those conversations and like undo some of these things. And I don't necessarily identify, like, I don't know that I'm like, I was born in 1996, so like, maybe they said it's zillennial, whatever the fuck it is. But in that aspect, I feel like we didn't do that work up front in our friendships.
Yeah.
So we're just now kind of being like, you just had this conversation like not too long ago, like we should be saying I love you because we are literally sisters. Like
yeah.
that's my blood. But like I love you, difficult. Hug is hard. We know they
Like,
kiss,
and
we know
I'm
they.
sorry, and I love you is just not hard for me though.
It's not hard
Like,
for me.
yeah,
It's not hard for me with. But some, I don't know what it is. Girls, we will unpack it in the group chat. Don't worry, I'm going to text after this.
Oh my god!
I don't
But
know.
you know something? I would say though, you are closer to your friends than than I am to mine. But that is for like an entirely you and your friends got to be in close quarters with each
With
other
each other.
for so long.
We lived together.
Yeah.
We did a, yeah. I think that's true.
Most of my friends, especially my closest friends, are in Lagos, and I've had to leave my friends. Also, navigating long distance
Relationships
relationships
so hard.
super hard.
My
And
best friend,
bro,
my best friend is a long distance relationship, and it's
yeah,
like I broke down about it like 2 weeks ago
yeah,
because it's still at this point it's been like 10 years. It still really
yeah.
hurts.
I like, unfortunately, I barely talk to my bestest friend, and like,
I feel sad
and
about that.
I feel sad about that, and it's something that I'm even just like talking about in therapy, and like I actively want to do better, but it's like so much like
hard.
even just hurt and pain that's in between that, like not talking
Yeah.
individually on both our sides. That's
Yeah.
like, oh, I
It's
wish this was
difficult.
different. Like I wish this was different. And we really tried for the longest time. Like we really, really tried. But like life really does. Like people tell you life gets in the way, but life
Life gets
really,
in the
really,
way
really,
bad.
really, really does get in the way. And it's like with a majority of my friendships being long distance, whether Lagos, whether London, England, or like just another state
Wherever,
or
yeah.
wherever, it's just super hard to like deal with life and like still feel as connected to those really strong connections. And I know they're strong connections because literally the love that I have for those people have not even changed, faltered, like reduced,
Yeah.
not no such thing. Like, but it's just interesting. And
Yeah.
I was telling you the other day that you're really, really lucky and like fortunate, like to have the friendships that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And even like a lot of your friends from Lagos moved here with you. Like not a lot, but like quite a few
Yeah,
of
quite a
them.
few.
Like when you moved here, you still had like
Yeah.
one or two, three people to
Yeah.
like, still have around you. And like that's really lucky for sure.
I do feel lucky. I've never
Yeah.
felt like I lacked in terms of like my friendships, and I know a lot of people, especially coming into their 20s, like it's like a really big thing. So like I don't take it for granted that I like have just always had like a tribe of like women who
Yeah.
like would go to war for me,
Yeah.
Sisterhood.
Sisterhood for real. Like honestly, even like as I'm saying this thing, like my friends still very much are my sisters, and like love, like understand, like the unconditional love that like we have all provided each other, like at different points of time. Even now, like even after not like speaking for a long time, it's just this, as long as there's always this love here, and like no matter, and we'll talk and it'll be like, oh, no time has passed. And I
Yeah.
love that. Like I super, super, super love that. And yeah.
My dear, again, happy birthday, Nigeria.
HBO.
Let me just give a small shout out to Nigerians because I think that we need it a little bit. I think that it's very hard being,
To be
it's
where
hard to
we're
love
from.
being
Yeah.
Nigerian while
Loving
having a
everything.
disdain for
Yeah.
Nigeria itself. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
see other people, like I was looking at the Puerto Rican Day Parade, or maybe it was the Dominican Day, I can't remember. But it's like people just like were so happy to be in community and celebrate their country and da 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 da, all these things. And it's like we just don't have that because we've just been beaten to a pulp by
Bro.
Nigeria, where it's like I
See,
can't even claim you like that.
even
But
all the Independence Day parties that are happening, it's just us being like, well,
what else are we
what
gonna
else are we
do?
gonna do?
But
You know?
I just want to give a shout out not to Nigeria but to Nigerians
Nigerians,
because
yeah.
y'all are some of the
Strongest
sometimes
people.
the worst people, but also
Strongest
like some
people
of the
still.
strongest people and some of the most resilient people.
I'm funny.
And just
We're
doing like
funny.
some of the coolest shit. Also, in terms of shouting out Nigeria, if you guys haven't watched the Victoria's Secret film on Prime,
Yeah.
you guys should absolutely go watch it because like Nigerians just taking the hand that they're dealt and just doing like
doing it,
exceptional
man.
shit, and like seeing like my friends on screen just
Yeah.
like being recognized
biggest
for
shout
their
out
artistry
to Ashley.
and all of that. Yeah, big shout out to Ashley, man. I fuck with that bitch so
heavy.
hard.
I was just telling Winda
So
that I followed
heavy.
her.
I'm so
since-
like
I've
I'm so proud of her.
Yeah.
Obviously she knows that, but it's just like we are exceptional people even in unexceptional circumstances. So shout out to us.
Shout out to us.
Anyway, we'll see you guys in the next episode. Like we said, drop us on side A for you in the comments. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, etc., etc. And we'll be back with a new episode before you even know it. So yeah.
Yeah.
See you guys soon.
See ya. See ya. See ya. See ya. See ya.
Bye.
Mwah.